let's review Doonebug97's resume. Yet again, this is a pretty long one, so we only have the top 4 accomplishments that are most recent because we cannot possibly list them all.
Exactly. Remember, just last weekend was in London, finished top 2 at UIC. That was actually his first breakout success performance at an international championship, and he's really come back here this weekend trying to take another regional title to add to that already very long accomplishments list.
Even with the regional titles and all the other accolades, there's still open frontiers, right? Becoming an international champion, becoming an international champion in a different region, and then becoming a world champion are all things he has yet to accomplish. Meanwhile, Jmillz, you might call him the underdog in this situation, but he's been on fire as of late. Placed in top 4 in Orlando last season and also top 8 at the North America Internationals, so he's got a good resume as well.
Exactly. Jmillz, certainly no pushover, went to the World Championships off of those performances that you just mentioned and performed pretty well there. And, you know, taking a look at his team just one last time, remember, this is actually quite a standard team. We've seen so many of these picks other trainers have in common, right? Vigoroth, Shadow Gligar, Shadow Whiscash, Lickitung, Skarmory, and Chargebug. I mean, how many times have we seen pairs of these Pokemon face off?
My question is, Doonebug has been bringing Pidgeot so consistently. Does he look at a team like Jmillz and see the Vigoroth, the Chargebug, the Skarmory, and say, okay, I'm gonna bench it this time? Or does he just bring it anyway?
Well, Jmillz did say in the interview he was afraid of the Pidgeot, but here we go. Game 1 of 5. Vigoroth into Whiscash for Jmillz.
Doonebug on the left, Jmillz on the right. Shadow Whiscash is a Pokemon that Doonebug used to win a regional championship prior, back when he had Skeledirge on his team, so he's definitely very acquainted with this Pokemon. We're gonna see the Body Slam get fired off. This is kind of rudimentary, right? Because you don't want to take a debuff.
Exactly. Firing off that Body Slam right away doesn't want to give Doonebug any opportunity to get to that Scald first, and that Body Slam does quite a bit of respectable damage, actually, putting the Whiscash into the yellow.
No Protect Shield from Jmillz onto the Scald. He's going to let the Vigoroth absorb this damage. Pacing is a little bit faster for the Vigoroth, and no debuff either. So he's going to go for the Body Slam.
Nice counting from Jmillz there, throwing right when the Whiscash was at that Mud Bomb. Doonebug's actually shielding it up here, not trying to invest both Protect Shields into the Pidgeot like we've seen him do in the past. Maybe looking for switch advantage here, farming up just a little bit more energy, thinking he can get to a charge attack, not just here, but also coming down the line.
Within Mud Bomb range, Whiscash is going to rain down this ground-type damage onto the Vigoroth and get the knockout, controlling switch advantage and putting Doonebug in a position where he can react to whatever Jmillz brings in next.
This is kind of uncomfortable for Jmillz because, yeah, it brings in the Whiscash. It's kind of an annoying farm down, but you do get it. Here comes the Scald from Doonebug, and Jmillz is shielding it up, probably going to look for that full Mud Shot down here. Yeah,
taking a Scald this early on in the matchup would be devastating, and even though the debuff is a potential, the Protect Shield's worth it. Coming with the Shadow Gligar, what does Doonebug do?
Yeah, this is tough. You're locked in here. He doesn't have Ice Punch like we've seen in some other trainers bringing in. Jmillz firing off the aerials before Doonebug has the opportunity to react. It's going to be close. I think Annihilate does live this and get off the Shadow Ball. Oh, barely lives, gets off the Shadow Ball, and now Doon is just saving his Protect Shield for the Pidgeot.
Yeah, very nice sequence of plays here because Doonebug gets, he extracts the maximum amount of value out of every Pokemon he possibly can, but the Protect Shield was really nice as well.
All right, waiting out the clock here, and Doonebug's final Pokemon is the Pidgeot. Look at this. Jmillz has no shields remaining. This has to feel like a scary position here.
I mean, this is what he was talking about, right? This is his nightmare. Pidgeot with the Protect Shield is just going to be devastating, and he knows that there's a Whiscash in the back, so Doonebug doesn't even Protect Shield the Aerial Ace.
He knows that that Aerial Ace is going to do just a little bit less than the Scald, and Doonebug just farming up a little bit more here. Perfect counting, as always, throwing on Charge Attack priority, and all he needs to do now, I think, is get to a Brave Bird versus that Whiscash in the back.
I'm telling you, Pidgeot picks apart the Gligar with the knockout. In comes the Whiscash. It's a Shadow. This is a Brave Bird. This might be enough.
That's right, both Shadows on the heels here, and Brave Bird is a very hard-hitting Charge Attack. And look at that, dealing 80% damage to Shadow Whiscash there.
Doonebug might as well have had a keyboard and just press Control-Alt-Delete on the Whiscash because that was absolutely devastating as the Brave Bird ties up game 1 there for Doonebug, and he takes a 1-0 lead in the series.
Relying on that Pidgeot, you know, I think we thought it was just a Spice pick, but it's a Spice pick that's doing very, very well. And I have to say, I'm a little surprised on Jmillz's end. He said in the interview he was very, very afraid of the Pidgeot, but looking at the line he just brought, he didn't even bring either of the Pidgeot counters in Skarmory and Chargebug.
Exactly, and was that the flaw? Was that the mistake, right? Or maybe did he think that the Pidgeot was too obvious to bring in game 1? Let's take a look back at the highlights. The shield on the Shadow Ball was a nice step up for Jmillz, but it left him so exposed to the Pidgeot in the back.
Exactly, peeling away that final Protect Shield is really just a crucial moment when you're running Pokemon like this that can just nuke your Pokemon in a split second. And here's that Brave Bird landing and giving Doon that 1-0 victory.
Brave Bird. I didn't even know how much damage it would really do, but it did even more than I expected because Shadow Whiscash stood no chance. I'm telling you, Pidgeot just swooped in and picked apart the backline from Jmillz.
And I think if you're Jmillz, you have to adjust here. You have to bring the Skarmory or something that can deal damage to the Pidgeot because, I mean, everything else is just going to be taking so much damage from the Brave Bird.
Telling you, you could just load up on triple Pidgeot counters, right? You could just, you could go with your Vigoroth, Charjabug, and Skarmory, but then Annihilate would just rain down on 2 of those 3. We're gonna see our lead situation. We got Shadow Gligar on either side.
Looks like Doonebug actually has dropped the Pidgeot in favor of this flyer, and it's a mirror, so this might actually come down to charge attack priority in terms of who wins the matchup.
Absolutely. We see Doonebug confident, going for the Aerial Ace first. Maybe he thinks that he will win that charge attack priority tie, so he just kind of YOLOs that Aerial Ace as soon as he possibly can.
All right, Aerial Ace lands on Jmillz's Gligar, putting it into the yellow. Jmillz is firing back, and again, these two trainers don't know quite yet who wins charge attack priority, so they're just, building energy, kind of throwing in between those 40 energy increments.
Shadow Gligar squaring off here, kind of come down to the charge attack priority tie. Doonebug maybe a little bit overconfident because Jmillz takes this one.
And this is tough. Throwing on a losing charge attack priority, always a difficult position to be in. Looks like June doesn't want to shield, probably just going to go for the lick down here. And there it is. Jmillz doesn't want to get licked down though and brings in the Shadow Whiscash. Now this is tough though because you have to shield the Power Whips.
You definitely have to shield the Power Whips, but in this position, Scald also applies a lot of pressure to the Lickitung. First one gets fired off here. It doesn't amount as much damage as a Shadow Hydro Cannon from a Feraligatr, so Lickitung has to respect it.
Absolutely, and this Lickitung is, now it's getting a little bit into the below 50% area. Firing off a Power Whip here, and Jmillz does shield it up correctly. That's a lot of energy down the drain for Doonebug, so that's step 1 for Jmillz. Clutch
Protect Shield by Jmillz to keep himself in this matchup. You think you could sneak a Power Whip between 2 Protect Shields, but Jmillz sniffs it out, does not allow it to happen.
All right, Scald coming through from Jmillz. I don't think it's going to be quite enough to take out the Lickitung, but Doon actually shields it up. Jmillz almost at another Scald here, but going to be able to fire off this Power Up first. Great counting from Doon, as always. And I think if you're Jmillz, you want to preserve all this energy, but you don't want to leave yourself vulnerable to something like a Pidgeot.
Hopeful for a body slam, but accepting of the Power Whip. You see the counter swap. Out comes the Shadow Whiscash. Jmillz thought it was the Pidgeot, but it's not. It's the Shadow Whiscash that Doon has used to such success so far this season. Doon
settling just for the Mud Bomb here. Knows that 2 are going to be enough to take out the Chargebug, and I think you're exactly right. I think Jmillz thought he was in a good position. He thought he had saved the Charjabug for the Pidgeot on the back, but unfortunately it is a counter to Charjabug.
It's like you jump around a corner and you try to scare Doonebug, but he's not there. He's behind you and he's got a Shadow Whiscash, and there's nothing you can do about it because this is a dominant matchup for the Water and Ground type as Charjabug just gets outpaced and outclassed.
All right, X-Scissor coming through here, shielded up by Doonebug. He has a lot of energy, building up to 2 charge attacks, and I think this Charjabug is still a Volt Switch off, so Doon, as long as he throws within 1 more Mud Shot, I think he's going to be okay here.
I definitely think that the catch was maybe the only way to stay in this game a little while longer, but the Shadow Gligar comes out. Mud Bomb would be resisted, but what if you double up and just apply as much pressure as possible?
Is resisted, but remember, both of these Pokemon are Shadow. That Gligar is very, very low health there, so even if the Mud Bomb doesn't take out, I think Doonebug finish off with the Lickitung.
Back-to-back Mud Bombs and back-to-back wins. Doonebug takes a 2-0 lead in the winners finals in Orlando versus Jmillz, who's looking for the upset, but he's got a reverse sweep to get there.
All right, back against the wall here. You're down 0-2. You thought you made the adjustment that you needed, but Doon made the reverse adjustment, dropped the Pidgeot. He knew Jmillz was going to bring a counter, and what do you do now? It's all just the mind games, right?
Definitely mind games. Going into game number 3, again, as a competitor, you can put so much pressure on yourself. Jmillz can look at this, and he can look down the road and say, oh, I have to win 3 games straight. I don't know if I can do it. I can't even beat him 1 time. But you cannot get into that mindset. And if you're Jmillz, you have to say, I just need to win 1 game, 1 match, get myself back into the series and see what I can do. Because in this game 2, in spite of losing the lead, Doonebug had a plan.
Exactly, that Shadow Whiscash in the back just ended up being so safe for him. It's actually, looking at Jmillz's team, it's pretty safe into the whole line. So he wasn't even concerned. He was happy to just have his Lickitung there, peeling away a Protect Shield and then letting the Whiscash close out.
Fast swapping into the Shadow Whiscash. You see Jmillz shaking his head. He says, that's not the Pokemon I wanted to see. But we are headed into a game 3. This could be decisive, and we have leads on the field. Shadow Whiscash is back, but at this time against Skarmory.
And Shadow Whiscash finding what it wants to, but Skarmory gonna stay in here for just a little bit. We've seen this before. Sometimes Skarmory users choose to throw Brave Bird before leaving.
Doonebug's team composition is definitely interesting. He's free to fire up this Scald against the opposing Skarmory, try to get a debuff, but he does have 2 flying types in the back that he could potentially pivot to, but does he want to, because Skarmory beats them both?
Exactly. I think he's really happy to see the Skarmory here in the lead. It's just what he wanted. Actually letting this Brave Bird go, trying to save shields maybe for the Pidgeot, but now he's pivoting into Gligar, and we have a Simul swap into Jmillz113's Gligar.
This is huge. This is massive, because there's a Pidgeot in the back for Doonebug and a Vigoroth for Jmillz. I think if he went Pidgeot here instead, he'd have definitely a more clear path. Now, Jmillz has a real chance at winning this game.
Yeah, that was a really heads-up play by Jmillz. He still has a Vigoroth in the back, and I think he's experienced now. He knows he can't be investing Protect Shields into things like an Aerial Ace from Gligar. Oh, but he actually does. But okay, well, that's okay. Maybe he can come out of this with an energy advantage.
Maybe he has a plan. Maybe he's cooking. We're going to find out. Jmillz throws the Aerial Ace, trying to pick up the knockout into Doonebug's Shadow Gligar. Doonebug, in return, though, has preferred the Protect Shield advantage, so he can try to sweep with the Pidgeot. Just like against a Shadow Charizard player, if they're not using their shields, you have a clue about what's in the back. Here comes the Flying type.
All right, here comes Aerial Ace coming through from Jmillz. We've seen Doonebug let this go in the past, but now, you know, those wing attacks are really adding up. He knows there's still a Skarmory lurking too. This is actually kind of uphill. You know, he has a shield advantage, but there's still a Skarmory. It resists all of this damage from Pidgeot, but it is quite low.
I mean, the Shadow Pidgeot's gathered so much energy. It's at the Aerial Ace. Actually maximizes the total stored energy, throws this charge attack. Jmillz doesn't Protect Shield, which is actually brilliant, because that means he's going to be able to hang on and maybe fire a charge attack of his own.
Well, that Aerial Ace definitely does not take out. Jmillz had the charge attack, decided not to throw it, and Doonebug throwing at this Aerial Ace, it's going to take out the Skarmory, but now Jmillz may be feeling good. He still has a bit of that Vigoroth, and I think he's going to be relying on fast attack pressure to take out this Pidgeot now.
You have to, but look at the HP on the Pidgeot. It's already pretty low. In spite of shielding the Aerial Ace, it's barely hanging on at half health. Out comes the Vigoroth. What's Doonebug going to do?
I mean, it might come down to just a bait here. Goes for the Aerial Ace, but I think if you're Jmillz, if he's counting, he might know that Doonebug actually can't reach 2 charge attacks. Shields up the Aerial Ace. I mean, it's going to be close whether Doonebug can reach the Brave Bird.
It's going to be really close. He's going to look for a charge attack. Doonebug can't quite get there. He's forced to settle for the Aerial Ace. Going to fire this one off. How much energy does he have on the Whiscash, though?
I mean, that's what it's going to come down to, but Jmillz is going to come out of this matchup with some energy. Looks like the Whiscash pretty far away from a move. Vigoroth has a ton of energy, already at 2 moves, and Doonebug only has 1 shield to protect them.
Yeah, a little eyebrow lift and a little good games. Doonebug recognizes that Jmillz finally got him here as Vigoroth slaps down the Pidgeot and says, "Get me back in this series."
It looks like Jmillz found something, starting to claw his way back there. He was able to deal with the Pidgeot really, really well there. Kind of a team effort from Gligar and Vigoroth. A little bit of chip here with the Gligar, pulling his shield, and then you're able to just fast attack down.
Pidgeot in game 1, Pidgeot in game 3. Can we expect no Pidgeot in game 4? What do you think, Soph?
Well, when you're on the back seat like this, once you've lost a game, you know, it can kind of feel like you're the one who has to make the adjustment. But maybe then you start thinking, well, maybe that's what Jmillz wants exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it's tough. And we might see June just kind of, I expect him to stick with the Shadow Whiscash because that's a really safe option. The Pidgeot, it's getting a little polarizing, right? There's often a Skarmory, sometimes a Charge Bug. I mean, even the Vigoroth is quite well into Pidgeot.
Mind games at play as we take a look back here at our game number 3. Jmillz keeps his winners bracket run alive by winning this matchup against Doonebug. Vigoroth, very, very powerful. Question is, how does Doonebug adjust?
It's going to be tough. Looking at these match records just a little bit, looks like Jmillz is 8-2 for the 2024 season. Not a lot of games under his belt, but a very, very positive record as we get into game 4. And remember, this could be decisive. If Doonebug wins, he's in the grand finals.
Doonebug leads the Annihilate, looking for the Vigoroth, but doesn't get it. Instead, he gets the Shadow Whiscash in the lead.
This is an interesting matchup. Counters are chunking away here, but the Whiscash does get to the Scald way before the Annihilate reaches Shadow Ball. 8
counters versus 6 mud shots. Scald's always going to come out first if the trainer chooses to fire it. This is going to do a lot of damage to the Annihilate, but it might trigger debuff as well. It does not, though. Annihilate still at full strength.
And Dune has a lot of energy. We saw him pause there, you know, a little bit careful of potentially a catch on a normal type, but instead able to land the Shadow Ball on this Shadow Whiscash and actually one-hits and wins the lead matchup.
Quick pivot into his own Shadow Whiscash here. Doonebug looking to fire up some charge attacks against the Shadow Gligar. This is typically a really good matchup for the Shadow Whiscash, but it has to avoid the dig. He doesn't even use Protect Shield. This is just an Aerial Ace.
And this is such a nice bait that we see Gligar users often go for because they know that the Whiscash user is often going to shield up if they have the Scald. But you know who doesn't shield? Someone with a Shadow Flyer in the back, and that's Doonebug with the Pidgeot. Again, looking for the sweep there. Scald's coming through, shielded up by Jmillz, and oh boy, it's looking scary. Starting to peel away those Protect Shields.
I was going to say, against the Shadow Whiscash, it kind of makes sense to double Aerial Ace because you know you need 2 charge attacks regardless. Jmillz does peel away the first Protect Shield from Doonebug97, but he's going to take a Scald if he doesn't Protect Shield up right now, and he does.
And here's that last Protect Shield from Jmillz. Remember, this Whiscash is actually kind of healthy. I don't know if you can wing attack all the way down if you're Jmillz. Might have to throw some energy. It's actually going to be very close. Looks like he doesn't think he can get there. Fires off the Aerial Ace at just the last second.
Yeah, if you're Doonebug, that's great, right? Because you would have only gotten to a Mud Bomb anyway, so seeing the Gligar dump some energy is solid. Now, like you pointed out in the back, 2 flyers, but one of them is a Skarmory, and that is definitely going to be tough for the Pidgeot to beat, so we're going to see what Doonebug decides to do.
Yeah, up a shield here, but you need to land 2 Brave Birds against the Skarmory to have a chance. Maybe you can build up energy, throw one, clear your debuff on the Annihilate, but it's going to be really, really tough here. Here comes the Brave Bird throwing before the Skarmory is able to get off a charge attack. Do we see the pivot here from Doonebug?
When I landed in Orlando on Friday, I never thought I'd see a Shadow Pidgeot throwing Brave Birds at a Skarmory in the winners finals, but here comes an Ice Ice on CMB. Oh my gosh, Jmillz miscounts. Doonebug calculated, gonna get the knockout.
And Skarmory is going to go down with a ton of energy wasted. Oh, but it actually survives, but it threw. It threw out the Annihilate.
It did. Locked into charge attack priority. All this energy goes down the drain, and Doonebug can come back in with his Pidgeot. He still has a Gligar to get through, but the Skarmory is now KO'd.
He has a Gligar to get through, but no shields to get through, and he's heading right for this Brave Bird here. Gonna take out the Gligar. Competitors are already chatting away, and you have to imagine that they know exactly what's coming.
Yeah, this Brave Bird absolutely gonna scrape this Gligar off the field, and Doonebug takes a 3-1 to win your winners finals and advance to the grand finals in Orlando.
Another top 2 performance from Doonebug.